Hey everyone, JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movie. Just at my house right now, it's like 10:30 in the morning. I woke up early. Hocus Pocus 2 finally dropped on Disney Plus, so I figured it's time for me to check this thing out. Now, out of all the Disney sequels that they've gone and made over the years, one of the very few that I've actually wanted to see is a Hocus Pocus 2, even ever since I was a kid, because I watched the hell out of Hocus Pocus so much and wore out a VHS tape from repeat viewings. I'm like, I would like to see the Sanderson Sisters back in some sort of capacity. And every Halloween, Hocus Pocus is playing in my house. I love the hell out of that movie, and it kind of took off almost to kind of like a little bit of a Halloween phenomenon. Like every Halloween, you're always going to see somebody dressed up as the Sanderson Sisters. Hocus Pocus is played all the time. People know and love Hocus Pocus. It's just the little movie that kind of just exploded as the years kind of went on, became a huge like home video-esque hit. So finally, all these years later, Disney decided, you know what? Let's actually make a sequel that people want to see. And so now we finally got Hocus Pocus 2. Sarah Jessica Parker, Bette Midler, and Kathy Najimy are all back from the first film, and Doug Jones. And there's kind of a little TV cameo from the guy who played the devil in the first movie. And they actually do play footage from the first movie, like on a TV that some people are watching, which was a little off-putting and kind of strange. It's kind of like when you watch Halloween 3 and they're playing the first Halloween movie on the TV, but here it's just like, how does that work within this world? Were they recorded or something? I don't exactly know, but something along the lines of that happens. But Hocus Pocus 2 is another one of these legacy sequels, kind of like Top Gun Maverick that came out earlier this year. That came out like almost 30 plus years after the original. First one was 1993. This one is 2022. And it's straight to Disney Plus, which I think was kind of a mistake. I think they would have made a lot more money if they actually released this thing in theaters, because people would have gone to see this thing. And I think fans of the original will come away satisfied with this thing. I definitely had a really good time with Hocus Pocus 2. The first movie, I mean, it's tough to compare this one to the first one, because if you've seen the first one as much as I have, it's kind of a hard movie to follow up to. And you're kind of wondering, what are they going to do with this second movie? And what they do is rather interesting. It's not necessarily just a repeat of the first movie. There's a little bit more to it. We get more of the backstory of the Sanderson sisters. We get to see how they came into possession of the spell book. And there's also other witches in this movie. There's a mother witch that they kind of run into as kids. And the only real major downside of this movie is that plotline kind of just gets brushed aside. Like, this character kind of just shows up and then is almost never seen again throughout the movie. I figured there would have been like more of an impact with them in terms of like how they fit into the story. But part of me thinks that they're not necessarily done exploring the Hocus Pocus universe, if that kind of makes sense based on what happens in this movie. This doesn't feel as finite of a conclusion to the story as, say, the first movie did. The first movie was pretty standalone. This one's a sequel years later. And in terms of legacy sequels, I think it's one of the best ones out there. Now, I think people of the first movie, like myself, will come away pretty satisfied with this one. Maybe not as much as the first film. Maybe some people may even like it more. I don't exactly know how this one's going to get in terms of like full reactions, but as somebody who really liked the first movie, I had a really good time with this one. What really like made the first movie stand out was the three witches: Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. They're basically the female Three Stooges with how they play off each other. They have unbelievable on-screen chemistry. Their comedic timing, the way they kind of like play off one another is fantastic. Sometimes you get a little bit of slapstick. Sometimes you get to see how kind of clueless they all are and how out of touch they are with the modern world and such. And each of them has their own distinct personality. Winnie, of course, is the leader, and she's the pitchiest. Sarah Jessica Parker is Sarah, and she's the clueless ditz, which Sarah Jessica Parker plays the ditz so well, even in the first movie. And then, of course, Kathy Najimy is more the funny one, I guess. I mean, they're all funny in their own right, but they all play off each other so well. And that chemistry is just like, they slip seamlessly back into their roles. And they're the main reason to watch this movie. And I thought all three of them were terrific as always. Their chemistry is still on point. Obviously, they've known each other a lot longer and embraced Hocus Pocus over the years. I believe Bette Midler has said her favorite movie she's ever done is Hocus Pocus. And the three of them have been wanting to do a Hocus Pocus 2 for a really long time. And it took quite a while for Disney to get this movie off the ground, and it's on Disney Plus, which, if you have a Disney Plus subscription, I think it's one you got to check out. But at the same time, I would have liked to have seen this movie in theaters, because the first one I hold in such high regards, and I would have liked to experience the second movie in theaters. But with that said, I am glad I can just kind of watch this in the comfort of my own home. But it would have been nice to see this one on the big screen. So the story this time around takes place 29 years after the events of the first movie. You have a group of high school students who, one of them, they go like do like their little witch ceremonies or whatever, just kids doing kids things. And some guy named Gilbert gives them like a new kind of version of the black flame candle. And one of them, the girls, seemingly is kind of a witch in her own right, kind of has witch's powers. And she brings the Sanderson sisters back from the dead. And they got to go, and the Sanderson sisters are back. They're not necessarily trying to do the life potion thing again. Well, they still want to, but they're also trying to find like this spell called like the Maximus spell, which is a very powerful spell, which is something that could bring them back and become all powerful. But there is kind of a price to that spell, which even the book, I really like Book in this one, this time around, how Book is kind of really hesitant to actually allow the spell to kind of take place. And what I also liked about this one is, despite the Sanderson sisters being full-blown villains, they still maintain that. They are a lot of fun to watch on screen. That's kind of the appeal to it. You do see that they all really still care for each other. They're villains still. That's not taken away in this movie, but they're villains that actually have something that they care about, which is each other, their sisterhood. Winifred's whole reason for doing a lot of what she does is for her sisters, despite how mean and cruel she can be, which you kind of see what happens towards the end of this movie, and even so in like the flashbacks when they were kids, it's all for her sisters, and that like there's a close sisterly bond that the three of them have, and if they're not together, it kind of takes away. It's just kind of not worth being, per se. So I like that aspect. You also get some musical numbers. There's one where they're playing one way. They first emerge, and then there's kind of like a little bit of meta humor in that regards, where they start singing right away, and all the kids who kind of brought them back, like, what are they doing? Why are they singing? This doesn't make any sense. Who are they performing to? And then all of a sudden, that's kind of played for a few laughs here and there. The mayor's around. He's kind of got this awkward sense of humor. Kind of reminds me of like Ice and like his friend who goes, ah, ha, 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 like his little cackling laugh. Not quite as funny as that, but you get your take. The main leads this time around, like the high school girls, they were enjoyable enough, and they have some funny bits where they kind of play off of the characters in the first, or play off the Sanderson sisters. Although I still like I still like Max, Danny, and Allison more as the three kind of leads in the first movie. More so than the girls in this one, but they are different, and I appreciate them not doing exactly the same thing. It is kind of a disappointment that the original actors didn't make an appearance in this one. I think Thora Birch was asked, but she was never, I think scheduling conflicts and such. Who knows? Maybe if we get the inevitable Hocus Pocus 3, which I feel like this movie is kind of teasing that they want to do, it doesn't really feel as closed off of a story, because there are a lot of lingering plot threads that don't get resolved that they may potentially want to do in a third movie, which I feel like they kind of want to. This has an ending, but it feels like there was a lot still left to be kind of explored in that. Like, they set things up and I'm like, I actually wouldn't mind like a Disney Plus series or a third movie in this regards, if they can find a way to integrate the Sanderson sisters back and doing some unique things. Because like I said, the first movie had a full definitive ending. This one, it has an ending, and there is a bit of emotion behind that ending, which I did like, but it feels like there's a lot still kind of unresolved, unlike the first one, where it's like, no, it doesn't feel as satisfying in that regards, because the first movie is like a complete closed off thing, but this one, there's still kind of a door kind of like left cracked open for if they want to potentially explore future movies. So yeah, there's also some other musical numbers. There's a funny bit where they're playing one way, or like Bette Midler, of course, very talented singer. They're singing like one way or another at some sort of like Salem drag show. Well, not really a drag show. It's like a costume contest for the Sanderson sisters, and they perform it, and everyone kind of becomes like undead zombies. It's kind of like Cuban Pete from The Mask, where everyone just kind of like doing their little routines and stuff. That was pretty entertaining, and of course, they're good singers and stuff, so that's always fun to see. Billy Butcherson is brought back. They and he fits. He's given a little bit more to do this time around in terms of the story and like how he's connected to this all powerful spell. And Doug Jones is still pretty good there in the Billy makeup. And if one character had to come back, I am glad that he did, because I always liked Billy in the first movie, how he always kind of losing his head. But all things considered, I think Hocus Pocus 2 is a solid sequel. I'm definitely going to watch it again. The first movie still, like, you can't really replace that. Although we've had legacy sequels that I think are better. For instance, Top Gun Maverick is a superior film to the first Top Gun. This one, in some ways, there's some things that they did maybe a little bit better, but in other ways, it's hard to replace Hocus Pocus and try and follow up that. But I think a lot of fans of the original are going to come away pretty satisfied with this thing. There is some nostalgia there, but not overloaded. It's not just member berries, as a lot of people may fear. There's references to the first film, and then that's there, but they still kind of, and they do bring the witches back, utilizing like the black flame candle, like a kind of a new variation of it, but they do more with the story, and they kind of build upon the lore a little bit more, which leaves me kind of wanting to see more. So maybe we will get a Hocus Pocus 3 based on how this thing kind of ends. So there's that. I won't give everything away, but stay till the after credits. There's kind of something a little bit there, but yeah, so Hocus Pocus 2. I had a pretty good time. Was it worth the 30-year wait? It could have probably been a little bit better, but for something that I didn't know if it was ever going to happen, because I've been hearing rumors about it for like 10 years at this point, I am glad that I finally got to see it, and I think people are going to have a good time. I think it's a good movie to watch for the Halloween season, and who knows, maybe we might get a third movie. If not, then at least we got something fun here. Although, introducing that kind of witch from the past and not really doing anything with her is probably my biggest complaint in the movie. The witch who kind of gave them the spell book, because she's just kind of there, and there's no real follow up with that character and what she's doing, and that's kind of a big mystery. And I want to see that explored a bit if they do more stuff. So, yeah, there you go. Go check out Hocus Pocus 2. It is on Disney+. I think it's worth a watch. And also watch the first movie again, because the first movie is amazing. So there you go. I think that's all I have to say about this one. If you've seen Hocus Pocus 2, if you have any thoughts on it or the original or anything like that, post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications. I got one big video I got to finish editing that's going to come out tomorrow. So I'm going to focus on that pretty much till I pass out. But look forward to that. And, yeah, go check out Hocus Pocus 2. All right, as always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.